There are over 28 million PPI users in 23 countries. Nearly 1/4 of adults use a PPI, and 63% of those people are actually under the age of 65. Hi, my name is Jen, and I'm a holistic nutritionist, and I myself have suffered with horrible gastritis and GERD in the past, and I'm constantly trying to find new ways to go about healing these issues. And through dealing with it for the past 3 years, I have done a ton of research. I've met up with a ton of doctors, nutritionists, naturopaths, and it's crazy the amount of doctors who have actually just prescribed PPIs or proton pump inhibitors instead of fully giving me more of a treatment, right? Like a full-on treatment. I think I only had one doctor out of all of the doctors that I went to that not only gave me nutritional advice, but also kind of gave me a side on the supplements to take along with my PPIs. But most of them, it was just PPI prescriptions, and that was the only way to ever deal with anything. And I'm not against PPIs. They can be very helpful, especially for people with ulcers, and it's a good short-term medication, but once it goes long-term, some people can see some side effects. So in this video, we're going to be talking about the truth behind PPIs and the truth behind stomach acidity. Let's get started. So proton pump inhibitors, or PPIs, are a class of medications that are usually given to people with conditions related to having excessive production of stomach acid. And in simple terms, this medication works by reducing the production of stomach acid. However, it's important to note that specifically with people who have reflux and gastritis, they aren't experiencing these symptoms because of the overproduction of acid in their stomach. Rather, they're experiencing these symptoms because of the underproduction of stomach acid. And what does stomach acid do in the first place? It helps break down food. So a lot of the times, this is the reason why we feel fatigued when we have acid reflux and gastritis, why we feel like we're bloating. It's like our stomach isn't fully breaking down those foods, and you're not really absorbing any nutrients. Like I mentioned, some of the common conditions that PPAs are given to are for people who have gastroesophageal reflux disease like GERD, reflux, gastritis, all of that. They can also be given to people who have damage in the esophagus or ulcers, but in this video, we're going to cover mainly PPIs and gastritis and acid reflux. Common PPI medications include omeprazole, lansoprazole, esomeprazole, pantoprazole, and rabeprazole. These are things like Prilosec, Nexium, Pervacid. Also, PPIs are normally intended just for short-term use. This is about a week or two. Sometimes it might be done in a different way depending on the healthcare provider. But for me, I noticed that a lot of the times it didn't go past 2 weeks. There could be long-term use, especially if it's suggested by your doctor, but you want to be careful because long-term use that is not supervised can actually give you a lot of side effects. I have heard of so many people who have taken omeprazole or PPIs for over 20-25 years, and they just cannot seem to figure out what is going on. Now, the side effects of PPI include increased bone fractures, and it's something that I actually was feeling very inflamed. My hands felt like I was having like arthritic pains and my hands were getting stuck. It can also have an increase in gas, in nausea after your meals, kidney disease, and infections. Okay, now that we've covered the bases, the next thing I'm going to talk to you about is something that a lot of people and a lot of functional medicine doctors believe in. There is no huge concrete research, scientific research that is out there that covers this. However, it has helped a lot of people more naturally. Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, it's important to note that a lot of times people who suffer from reflux or gastritis, it's not because of the overproduction of stomach acid, and it's not because of that. A lot of the times it's because of the underproduction of stomach acid. They're producing too little stomach acid to the point where they cannot absorb nutrients, they cannot break down food properly. Let's take a look at this pH scale. A healthy and balanced stomach should actually be at about a 1 or a 2, but a lot of people who have gastritis and reflux end up being at the spectrum of a 6 or a 7. Now, there is a big difference between the two. And that difference can really be between you feeling great and you feeling all the symptoms that you're feeling. Things like indigestion, heartburn, nausea, vomiting. So yeah, for a lot of people who suffer from gastritis and acid reflux, 6 and a 7 is usually where they stand. And the way to see this is through special testing or sometimes even through stool testing. That's one of the ways that I found out that I had that issue. My results came back that I had horrible fat absorption. Like, I could not break down fats well enough for me to take in the nutrients from the fats that I was eating, whether it was avocado, whether it was coming from olive oil, coconut oil. I just couldn't break down fats. Okay, so I mentioned earlier how there is a lot of functional medicine doctors who believe in this idea, like Dr. Carlos Jaramillo. He went through the same exact thing when he was younger. He grew up and he had a childhood where he had a lot of gastritis symptoms. He had heartburn and he just had a lot of symptoms to deal with at such a young age. And I think for some reason, this was the reason why he became a doctor, to find more answers. And especially because he's a functional medicine doctor, it's to find more answers, the root cause, the root way. And he explains that those who battle with not producing enough acid in their stomach actually end up feeling heartburn, excessive gas, burping, hiccuping, nausea. These are symptoms he had himself. He also explains that to bring the stomach back to balance, back to that 1 or 2, back to its regular acidic state, we must slowly increase the acidity in our stomachs little by little. One of the ways that he was able to increase the stomach acidity was actually by adding lemon to his water. He had lemon water in between meals as much as he could. Later on, he started taking things like small amounts of aloe vera with the lemon water. This way, it was both soothing the stomach lining and bringing that acidity back up at the same time. One of the key things that he covers in his videos is to start off in very small amounts. So a lot of the times when we think about PPIs and acid reflux and gastritis, we think about what caused the low acidity in my stomach anyway. There are a ton of reasons and root causes why you can have hypochlorhydria, but some of the more common reasons are usually chronic stress and a lot of anxiety. Autoimmune conditions, hypothyroidism can also cause low stomach acidity, H. pylori infections, also aging. But as we know, 63% of people who suffer with these issues who are taking PPIs actually are under the age of 65 years old. So that's something to think about. There is so much more I can go into, but for now I'm gonna leave it at that so that it doesn't get any more confusing for myself or for anyone out there. But I hope this brought some type of insight to anyone. Obviously, it's always important to continue to practice dietary and lifestyle factors. There are a lot of recipes and lifestyle factors that I have both in my free guide and in my meal guide that I have linked down below. Those are great resources, especially if you're trying to find new ways of eating that aren't too boring and that still provide the fiber that you need, that still provide the protein that you need. While in this healing process, the meal guide might be your best friend. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you on my next one. Bye.